Good day, everyone. This is Nanyamay Urukai. Today, I will be reporting on Chapter 18, the Campaign for Independence. This chapter focuses on an important period in our history when people strengthened their efforts to gain freedom from colonial rule. It highlights the key events, leaders, and movements. They worked together to push the Philippines toward independence. By studying this chapter, we can appreciate the sacrifices our heroes and understand how their effort shaped the freedom we enjoy today. As we go through the lesson, I hope we gain a deeper understanding of the courage, unity, and determination that fueled the Philippines campaign for independence. So, what is the campaign for independence? In 1922 and 1935. So, based on my understanding, this period refers to the time when a country or group of people were actively fighting, organizing, and working to become independent from a foreign power of colonial rule. From 19 to 2022 to 1935, people who wanted independence did things like forming movements or organizations to fight for freedom, holding protests, resilience, or campaigns, negotiating with colonial rules, raising awareness, so more people would join their cause, challenging unfair laws imposed by colonial government. The main goal was to gain full self-rule so they could have their own leaders, make their own laws, and control their own future. Republicans wanted to retain the Philippines. Democratic were open to granted independence once Filipinos were ready to self-government. During the American period, the leaders in the United States did not all agree about what do we need the Philippines. So first is political background. American leaders were divided on the issue of Philippines. They wanted the Philippines to stay under American control. Nagtuo sila sa USA na should continue ruling the country. Democratic and Democrats they were willing to give the Philippines independence, but only when Filipinos were already prepared to run their own government. So this means overall, the American leaders will split into groups. Naslay dua ka group. Like first is one group wanted to keep ruling the Philippines. Second, the other group wanted to keep independence but slowly and with condition. So the future of the Philippines during the time depended on which political party was in power in the USA. So Filipinos were ready to self-government. So first is political background. American leaders were divided on the issue of Philippines independence. The Wood-Purvis mission in 1921 sent by USA President Warren G. Harding to evaluate. Can you please evaluate? So ako na siyang So, the Wood-Purvis mission in 1921 was a group sent by the USA government to check whether Filipinos were ready to govern themselves and possibly become independent. First, it was ordered by President Warren G. Harding. Second, it was led by William Cameron Pobres and General Leonard Wood. Third is they came to the Philippines to observe, ask questions, and study how the government was being run under Government Francis Horizon. So, I will going ko na siyang i-simple na word. So, the Filipino government was not yet capable of handling full independence. There were problems in leadership and administrations. Because of these findings, they recommended that the USA should not yet give independence to the Philippines. So, ang iyang resulta ni kay siya. Because of their negative, the USA government delayed giving independence to the Philippines. It shut down the movement for self-rule. Filipinos who wanted independence became frustrated because they believed the report was unfair and biased. Governor General Leonard Wood, 1921 in 1927, preserved high rules and Philippines nation policy, had frequent conflict with Filipino leaders, especially Quezon and Osmania, believed the Americans should maintain strong control over the Philippines. So, Leonard Wood was the American governor of the Philippines from 1921 to 1927. During his term, he ended or reserved Horizon's policy of Philippinization. This means he stopped giving mini-government position to Filipinos and gave power back to Americans. So he often argued and clashed with Filipino leaders, especially with Manuel Quezon and Sergio Osmania, who wanted more Filipinos control in the government. He believed that Americana should stay in strong control of the Philippines. He thought Filipinos were not yet ready to fully lead themselves. Leonard Wood talked back some power that were giving Filipinos had many disagreement with Filipino leaders and believed the USA should continue to rule the Philippines strongly. Let's move on to COVID crisis 19. With Wood, reinstated Republican and American policies accused of corruption, was Laurel, the Secretary of the Interior, other Filipino officials So, let's move on to COVID crisis 1923. Conflict began with Wood reinstated Ray Conley, an American police officer accused of corruption. Jose Laurel, the Filipino Secretary of the Interior, objected and resigned. Other Filipino officials resigned in protest. He has become known as the COVID crisis, marked a strong stand by Filipino leaders against American interference So, the Cavite crisis in 1923 happened because of a big disagreement between American Governor General Leonard Wood and Filipino leaders. So Wood brought back reinstated Ray Conley, an American police officer who was accused of corruption. So si Jose Laurel, the Filipino Secretary of the Interior, disagreed with his decision because he believed Conley was guilty. Because Wood ignores Laurel's objections, Sarah Laurel resigned. So after that, pila ka mga Pilipino nga official also resigned to show their protest. This event showed the Filipino leaders were taking strong stand against unfair decision and American control of the government. They wanted Harry Hawes cutting and the crisis highlighted the growing desire on more independence campaign led by the Osrox mission. Osmeña Rosas provided for a 10 years transition period called the Commonwealth period before full independence. The Harry Hawes cutting law was passed by the USA in 1933 to give the Philippines a path toward independence. It came from efforts of the Osrox mission led by Sergio Osmeña and Manuel Rosas. The law said the Philippines would not become independent right away. Instead, there would be a 10 years transition period called the Commonwealth period. During those 10 years, the Philippines would practice running its own government. The USA would still guide and supervise some parts. After the 10 years, the Philippines would get full independence. Let's move on to the Quezon Mission and the Tidings-McDuffie Act 1934. Quezon led another mission to the USA and successfully had a new independence. Liu passed the Tidings-McDuffie Act. It provided similar terms at the house cutting law, but was more favorable in the Philippines. So, after the first independent law, Harry Hawes cutting law was rejected. Manuel L. Quezon went to the United nga what do we call this? Ni negotiate a better agreement sa the Philippines. This trip called the Quezon Mission. Because of this mission, the USA passed a new law in 1934. Gitawag og Tidings-McDuffie Act. The Tidings Act said the Philippines would have a 10 years transition period, becoming fully independent. This transition period was called the Commonwealth. It had rules similar to the earlier Harry Hawes cutting law, but it was more favorable to the Philippines, meaning it had better conditions and more respect for Filipinos' interests. So ang iyang big na tungod ani nga law, ang Commonwealth sa Philippines gi-create siya atong 1935. So si Manuel L. Quezon siya may pinakauna nga nahimong president of the Commonwealth. So this officially started the final steps toward Philippine independence. So, summary of importance. The campaign 1922 and 1935 showed the Filipinos' determination and internal rebel raised and culminated in the creation of the Commonwealth, marking the beginning of the Philippines' path to full independence. So, from 1922 to 1935, Filipinos work hard to gain independence from United States. Suma na siya. So, wait. So, ito. So, from 1922 to 1935, even though Americano officials sometimes blocked their efforts and Filipino leaders did not always agree with each other, they continued to push for self-rule. Their determination led to important events such as the Osrox Mission, the Tidings Macduffy, and finally the creation of the Commonwealth of the Philippines in 1935. So this Commonwealth served as a 10 years training period for Filipinos to prepare for full self-government. In the end, their long struggle resulted in complete independence in 1944. That's all. Thank you.